in public. And but he could have, if the show had gone on, he could have been free to talk about Walmart on the show.
That would have been funny.
But what is the show we're talking about?
Squidbillies. Yeah.
Squidbillies.
Yep, he was just there for those last few episodes.
So I didn't know. I would just know that every time I would get on it, whenever I was younger and watching it, it was always like yeehaw, rednecky, and then all of a sudden it switched at one point. So that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I appreciate you summing that up for us.
Oh, happy to. But
hey, let's kick off to our sponsors real quick. Golden Gopher Insurance. We will sell you guys insurance, homeowners, auto, commercial.
And we're bringing in health in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, we're excited.
We got some really good places. So if you need health insurance, Medicare, Medicaid.
Let's see, Loxicom, Pete
Smart
Jones,
House.
Derek Schemper. Yeah.
You want a smart house, like Loxicom will go in and hell, they'll even teach you crypto.
Home automation. Yeah. And then Gulf South Productions. We've got Daniel Lazada and the team, staging, lighting, all your concert, special event needs.
So Daniel does all the big concerts down here. So he's like super serious about his work. So when you like at the Coliseum, when they have like co-hosts of Whiskey Myers,
sure.
He has like his team is like he has old school roadies that have been touring. So there's big productions.
I tell you, I don't envy those people with those jobs. That's hard work. You mentally got to be on point. That's good work.
Yeah. And then finally, Louis Elias for sheriff. Give our guy a quick plug real quick.
Yeah.
Y'all go vote. Make sure you do. It's coming up.
That's the only reason. That's how you make a change. You got to vote. Right. You have to vote.
Okay. I'll start it off.
I gotta get some clothes for my reunion.
Okay. Drinking beer with Matthew and Jordan. Hop up on the surfboard, I'm soaring.
Yes, sir.
All these other podcasts boring.
Okay.
They don't really know what we be doing. I be rocking Jordan and Matthew podcast. Catch them on every Monday and Tuesday. They gon' last. Everyone around here know that. 100 views and we show that. Give a fuck 'cause we throw that. Money coming in and everybody around here fucking know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Benjamin Button, I could see that, right. But no, that's.
I don't meet that many Noels.
No, they're not. There's not any. I've never met one.
I know Nola Quinn, Drew O'Quinn's dad.
We're going to his funeral though and seeing your name up there.
Yeah, I bet.
Do you get it like festive there in Christmas though? Like since you have Noel as your name.
Yeah,
I'm. Do you have a sweater with that on there?
What's that?
Do you have a sweater? It's like.
Yeah, no, I don't. But I may get one before long.
What's your favorite Christmas album?
I'd have to go with
sorry about
I've got thoughts about it. I mean, I'd probably have to go with some Dean Martin. I got to go old school pretty much.
I respect that.
Sinatra,
yeah.
But
I'm Mariah Carey all day. Yeah.
Now, most people I know are really big for the John Denver Muppets Christmas album.
That is a good one,
very
too.
Popular one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here with the Ben Prisk. What's going on, dude? Thank you so much for stopping in the studio.
Mostly, just bigly honored, or however you say it.
No, so are we, man. Like Jordan was telling you, I'm nerding out now. So I mean, we've dove off into our art experiment now for 3.5, almost 4 years.
And keep going.
And you've always been like a staple, I think, in that community down here.
You.
So
it's amazing to me.
Can we get a little, Ben? Like, who are you, and what got you into where you're at now with your art?
So I was born and raised in Tylertown, Mississippi, and grew up here in in Mississippi. And I had an interesting childhood, and I was grounded a lot because of bad grades. I didn't like school. School bored me, so I made bad grades all the time, and I was grounded. So my grades would get up, but they really kind of never would. So I stayed a lot in my room a lot, reading and listening to music and just staying in my head, I guess. And, but reading, National Lampoon magazine and I watched a lot of television, but it was for cable. So it was, you really had to be, you had to really be vigilant to find good stuff. And I just wanted to be in that world. I wanted to play in that creative world that I saw out there,
So we're talking before the Preview God channel.
way before.
Because I remember
Yeah.
the Preview Guide channel, okay?
Right.
And you would have to wait, for those of you youngins who
Oh,
are
yeah.
watching now, you'd have to wait until the last channel would cycle through for it to start
We
back
had
over.
the actual TV guide.
That's what I was thinking about it. I remember having Paul had his TV guide next to the nightstand back in the day.
Can you imagine the scheduling it took for someone to put that thing together?
Yeah, you had to plan.
And when they were wrong, you wonder they probably got sued. Or...
Right.
Whatever happened to recliners? That was like a big thing too.
Now, I guess it was. We didn't have one in my house, but later I would buy a recliner that I still have. That's just it's
Got a name?
No, you don't. But it doesn't have a handle. It doesn't have buttons in it. It's like if Japan could make a recliner, it's very simple, and I love it. And it just
So it's not like a lazy boy.
no, it's a Barca lounge.
Is it your chair though? That's your spot. That's your spot.
My chair, and I love it. It's weird.
So I have a spot at my house. Do you have a spot at your house?
Yeah, it's a love seat. That's what I get.
That's what
Yeah.
you get.
But I mean, I'd like to strap a hammock in the backyard, and
That's what I'm talking about.
I'd be just as happy. I can lay anywhere. I fell asleep on a park bench, and not a park bench, but a bench in a subway station in Brooklyn. Fell fast asleep.
Really?
Yeah, I got ticketed. Guy woke me. Cop woke me up
For
Gave me a
napping
ticket
in
for taking it
public?
more than
How
once.
much was the ticket? What year was this?
This would have been around 2009, something like that.
Was it a $25 ticket?
I never paid it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah.
Statute of limitations.
Cheers-
right?
cheers to you.
Yeah.
Good there.
Be an outlaw. Let's go.
All
right, so-
I'm on the run.
So tell us, you were telling me how you got down here. You
But
were.
how I got created or wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't.
And so I went to Southern, but I didn't take art. And because I felt like I should, if I were going to take art, I would go to a real art school, but I couldn't afford that. And so I just would draw all the time in my apartment at night. And I eventually met some people here in Gulfport that owned a company called Transmedia that's still around, and wonderful people that took a chance on me. And I learned a lot from them as far as design. And it's right when right when Apple first made their first desktop publishing computer. It was like 25 grand for probably like
Holy
8
shit.
megs of RAM and barely any space. It was amazing to sit and figure that out. But that was right, when I started working. And so I learned a lot about film production and design through them. And they didn't really have much illustration work, but I would do it on my own anyway, because my mind is still sort of thinking about National Lampoon's magazine and cartoonists or New Yorkers and things like that.
Would you say that's what inspired you, or where's your inspiration come from?
My inspiration comes from people, really, life and getting to know people, and they excite me. And if I could speak to somebody, if I can make something that makes somebody go, yeah, that makes me feel better. And not some greeting card either, I don't know. If I could touch some weird part that never gets touched, for them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
emotionally,
I understand that.
Then
As a creator, I think that's what you loathe for is the ability to influence, or the ability to, put someone's.
share.
Yeah. I mean, you were just flipping through your sketchbook with me, which I think is amazing.
Thanks.
And then you were kind of showing me your go-tos, like you said, whenever it kind of twist off, you start to add the alphabet to it. Tell me how that came in to play.
I mean, I don't always have, and the older I get, I don't, my ideas are, I don't know. The point I wanted to make is I don't always have an idea when I need one. And so but I still want to draw. I still want to be busy. I still want to make something. I'll draw the alphabet.
Do you have a certain time where you allow an hour or two a day, or
No, it's I've never really been structured like that. I always, it's sort of, if once people are taken care of, then it's my first priority is to make art, so I'm always making it either with photography or drawing or painting.
So show us that camera that you got over there. What is it again?
Oh, it's an older one, but it's just,
You said it does black and white.
well, it's got a great black and white setting on it. But yes,
What's the last thing you took pictures of?
You.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
sitting here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I
It's a really cool fish eye.
I like-
I've never seen that before. As I was telling him, I've never seen a lens like
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
When you start taking pictures,
Hmm?
I have a 10.
I got a 4. It's a 4.
4?
Yeah, it's like it doesn't even fill the whole frame. It's like a circle inside the frame. And so like if I want to shoot lightning, if there's a big storm or star trails or anything, I just put that thing outside and it captures everything within
I've seen some art on what that Chase has done.
Yeah.
Are you the one that's influenced him on that, or y'all go out there and do it
We
together?
shot some good stuff together. Yeah.
So how does that work? You guys go out there and just like the storm's coming, or is it a by chance thing?
I mean, you kind of know. And it's interesting as far as like the lightning thing, how that works. Used to, I would know if it was okay to go stand out in it, you know.
Yeah,
But lately,
that would scare me.
Lately, the storms have been different. It's been very lot sketchier outside. It feels
Really?
like, yeah. I don't feel. I'd go high. I actually wanted. I got a gazing ball, which I think is a funny term, but it's like a reflective sphere.
Okay,
You can buy them anyway. You know,
like the ones you
probably
see at
sells them.
the outdoor
Old
sections.
ladies have them, you know.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But I have one in my yard, and I get my telephoto lens and put it on there and stand in the doorway and zoom in on that gazing ball and shoot.
And it
lightning
reflects
out.
off. That's pretty neat.
How far is that lens?
I mean, the gazing ball is probably 30 feet away, maybe, and you zoom right in on it, fill the frame with it.
So I actually took one of these Sonys out to our hunting camp,
Oh yeah,
which is like middle of nowhere, pitch black.
yeah.
And I started taking pictures and coming back and seeing the stars inside of them, which was absolutely astonishing to see like how many stars are out there.
So it's a 24 mil 1.4.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
that was because I felt like that was a lens because I didn't really when I got into photography, I started on a zoom lens.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's how it starts.
Yep.
And then I went to the prime lens, and then I kind of just I was like, you know what, that lens costs more than my camera. Like, I mean,
Right.
but it's my favorite lens.
Yeah.
And that's what I was telling him, like the way you open the aperture up, and it can really.
Yes, it's
Different.
amazing. And they're I buy everything I buy used pretty much. And
Last couple of years, I've been moving into adapters.
yeah,
It's like
adapters.
you can find so much on eBay.
I growing up, I was raised mostly by my grandmother and my uncle, and my grandmother was a legal secretary for 35 years, and her boss had been like the president of the Mississippi State Bar. He was a respected dude.
Okay.
Young lawyers would come in, but anyway, and he had 3 granddaughters that I grew up that were about my age, and so they've always considered me to be a part of their family. But they recently sent me his camera.
That's cool.
And, yeah.
Sentimental.
And just by, there's a photographer named Robert Kappa from, he was on Normandy. He arrived on the D-Day,
Wow.
the beaches of Normandy, and shot that
Big
stuff.
camera.
And he made
No,
it.
it wasn't. It was an SLR, and it was the same camera. It was the same brand. It was a Contax
Okay.
3A.
Can you pull that up? I want to see this.
Yeah, and so that's the camera they sent me, and it's and there's like only one dude in the country that services them, so I haven't felt like getting on that waiting list. The shutter's a little sticky, but I bought an adapter for the lens. That's the point I'm getting to, and I shoot the lens on that camera.
That's cool.
It's a Zeiss.
Or they make hunting scopes.
It's a 50 millimeter 1.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it still the blue branding?
Huh?
Zeiss, how it has a
Yeah.
blue,
It's
still
Zeiss.
old school. I want to see
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And it's got a little haze in it, so I'd like to send the lens off and just get it cleaned, but
I haven't I really went into just when I told you like hit Sony, and I fell in love, and I went with the G Master, and I never had like the nifty like a 50. It's always a good lens.
I was going to say Lomography sold this little kit for Micro Four Thirds cameras, and they were toy lenses is what they were, or what they are. At like $28, you got all 3 or something like that. And I ordered it. Man, I've glued stuff on the front of that thing and shot with it, and I like playing.
Have you flipped your lens up? Have you flipped your lens like upside down?
Like reversed it?
Yeah.
With it? Yeah, I have.
What does that look like?
Well, there's a ring you can buy to allow you to do that, and it makes it macro essentially. It's a way to shoot macro. It's not enough to really mess with, in my opinion.
But you're experimenting with new things, trying new things, kind of out what works
constantly. Yeah, I just get so much from seeing and experience, making stuff I haven't seen before.
Just try new things.
Yeah, to try new things.
Yeah, that's what I like to do that too.
Yeah.
So how did the Adult Swim door opportunity open for you?
So I have a good friend, Matt Malero, who but before Adult Swim, he was always writing and pitching to studios and trying to get a movie off the ground, anything. And so I would do these sort of fake one sheets for him or something, or the character studies for them, for him to have something to go along with his pitch. And so we did that. I did that a few times for him. And then he started working with Adult Swim launched, and he was pretty integral to Space Ghost Coast to Coast writing for that. And so around the same time, I went to Atlanta to work for TBS Superstation as a designer.
Yeah, I remember that back in the day.
Yeah.
When we were kids. That's like whenever we got out of school, it was on TV.
And I grew up watching TBS too, but it was before, it was like right when Ted Turner was starting it. And so I was hired as a designer there. And it was like walking into a place that could afford anything that you needed, and being and working with people who were just as excited
roof over your head
as you were to be making good stuff and to try and be fresh about it. And everybody got your references, and everything. It was a gift to be able to work.
So how did they recruit people for that? I mean, was it just like-minded?
That's a good question. I mean, well, in that industry, I guess people there, there's award winners and you kind of can know about people, I guess. In my case, Matt suggested me, and I went to the interview and took some stupid drawings and had worked in film as a grip and that kind of thing, but had never really done any broadcast design. But I was fortunate enough to be interviewed by Pat Smith, who, while admittedly she said there was nothing in my portfolio that she could have ever used, she liked how I thought and how I,
that's
expressed
respect
myself. And so I was very lucky to have gotten her to be working for her.
You said you did grips where
like a film grip?
But any movies you worked on?
No, I really, through Transmedia, I did a lot of commercials and stuff. The only film I ever worked on down here I was a day player for Mississippi Masala.
I've never heard of
Washington. And it's an interesting film, and it was
I have to check it out.
Yeah, it was shot down here in Biloxi.
How long ago? Garrett, pull it up.
Probably around 1990.
Like prime with Denzel.
So and then you go to then somebody believe in you though, because I'm taking a risk on you.
That was another 7 years later. I mean, I was really about to just give up. And when I interviewed with Pat, and then so in 2.5 years after she hired me, I was a creative director.
Never heard of it. Oh, we need to watch it.
You should watch it. It's a very refreshing plot. It's very different.
So what was
the old the old putt golf down here?
Oh, the one with the dinosaur on the Oh yeah.
So
that was one of your first on-screen experiences for a film.
I was an extra one night because they needed an extra. But
so are you in it?
I am in the like blurry back there.
Oh, nice.
What scene? Do you know the scene?
It's a putt golf scene, so it was just very, very limited there.
That's where the Sonic was. We're talking.
Yeah, and batting cage is there. And
they made a big like a big cobra as one of the golf the things, and it was they only made it. They say, it's made to be temporary. That damn cobra was there for years after that. It held up.
Them damn the cage roller coaster killed my back.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, the one that flipped. The small one always flipped. You know that one? It was small, but it always flipped and kept rolling. I'd always have blood. My lower back always felt it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I'm laughing
Those,
at your back.
those places.
You know,
the older,
they were like,
I do, yeah.
the older we are
Yeah.
now, man, everything hurts. Like, the
Like,
older I've gotten, it's just
designed by an exterminator or
Yeah.
something.
yeah.
You
it's
wrote
a-
it. You
a
wrote it
farmer.
though, and like you knew you're gonna get scabs. Like you're like, I
Yeah.
mean,
But
some of the sketchiest roller coasters is the ones I love.
oh yeah. Yeah.
The ones that kind of shake a little.
Are you a roller coaster guy?
I am. I like them. Yeah, but I don't like shaking around. I like.
Have you ever gotten sick on a roller coaster?
No.
Okay, so I used to be a roller coaster guy, and I still am kind of a roller
I've never
coaster
heard the
guy.
story.
But me and Garrett rode some of these fair rides at the Crawfish Festival last year. Maybe it was 2 years ago, but I come out of it queasy, and I was just like, "Ooh, I don't know if I like that." Yeah, and I didn't.
Wasn't it like the Graviton or
Yeah, one of them. I don't remember.
Gravity
which
Tron,
one.
like Tron, or
Right. I don't know it.
it's the one that spins over and over again. You gotta lift
that one.
everybody
yeah.
rides it. You lift-
Yeah.
and you always
And
try
you're
to
glued
sit
to the
up
wall.
straight.
Yeah,
You try
yeah,
to sit up straight. It was that one.
yeah. Me and John rode roller coasters at Dollywood this past Christmas. I didn't get sick from any of those, so I still am a roller coaster.
I was always a big fan of two rides at carnivals.
Chain link, yeah.
And the and bumper cars. A big bumper car fan.
Okay.
I mean, they really should take that technology further and embrace
I'm
it.
surprised they
You
have.
just like running into people.
I do like.
Have you ever played?
done
What's the? Do you play video games? You ever play video games?
I played Myst when it came out. I was a big Defender nut. Like the
Okay.
only arcade game I really excelled at and cared about was Defender.
What is Defender?
It was just a box arcade game, like around the time of any of the big famous ones, Pac-Man and stuff. But Defender, you had to use a lot of more fingers than the other ones, and it was real fast paced.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah,
We're 86 babies.
Yeah, this one.
Arcades were a thing of the past, pretty much.
Right.
by the
Tron, I
time.
like the Tron game when that first Tron came
So
out.
for us, for me, my first experience is regular Nintendo. I remember my uncle bought it for me. Shout out, he passed away, but it was for Christmas we got a Nintendo and he got me Ninja Turtles.
Oh, okay.
That was the first game I ever played.
Yeah. Now I had a cousin that brought over Pong, the
I remember
the original
Pong.
Pong, and we sat around and played Pong. And
Atari. My dad had an Atari whenever I was a kid. And Pong was
That's
one of
it.
the
That's
games.
the main game. Like the same guy from Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought Atari up because after I worked with Transmedia, I had a friend of mine in Hattiesburg who had a Commodore 64 or whatever, that computer. That's famous as far as nerds
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
and
It's
stuff. But I used to sit and try to make art on it, which was just near impossible. But I would try to recreate Calvin and Hobbes frames on it.
really
Yeah.
just out of the challenge to yourself.
Yes, for myself.
So I remember doing the same thing, similar, but you couldn't really do a straight line
Right.
diagonal.
Yeah. Like
You had to go like up over. Yeah, almost like an etch a sketch.
yeah.
And
It's like going stairs.
yeah.
Recently I read an article about Warhol, and he had done some Commodore 64
Really?
work, and it was the article was about the challenge of getting it off the disc, and it was kind of I would like to
Could you save it?
You saved it. You did save it. You saved it to a floppy, probably like that 5-inch.
Yeah, the
floppy.
big one, the ones that were out whenever we first got computers.
Yeah, which by the way you can use as a filter to like shoot the sun and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or no, you can use it as an infrared filter, I believe.
Really?
If you go
Yeah.
through the actual screen of it, or the
Yeah, it's like an ND filter. I mean, it takes you have to shoot. You have
do I have to watch a
long
YouTube
exposure.
video? On
Do you have your own room?
Huh?
You have your own film room?
No, I you know what? I used to hang out at the newspaper in my hometown, and I used to hang out with my friends who would work in the darkroom and stuff. But there was this silver spool that you had to spend. You had to put the 35 roll of film on in the dark, without looking at it, and they couldn't touch, and it was very tightly wound, and they couldn't touch each side as it wound in the spiral. Right? I would not do that. That was what kept me from ever developing film.
Really?
It was, yeah.
Scary.
It was like just something I just did not feel like I needed to do.
I was the same way. Whenever we took film
And
or
I was wrong.
photography in high school, I was like, that whole process scared me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, like you could bring it to Walmart and I do it for you. But it wasn't art for me then. It was schoolwork.
Right.
And that was a big difference.
And I was wrong, because really that is the art. Is what the art of photography really is, you know, I forget the words now, but when you dodge and stuff, the light hitting it and stuff.
Oh yeah, because you can manipulate it to pretty much do, I guess, film tricks. We were talking about film tricks earlier. You're talking about putting the pen on the piece of glass,
right? And
people wondered that. I mean, was it Hitchcock that was famous for all of his different camera angles and stuff like that? And
he was certainly famous for like pushing the envelope on stuff like rope.
Yeah,
was all like they would shoot until the magazine ran out.
What they call when they would shoot like they would use film in, like they would use a background of a photo, cut it out so it made it look like a cliff,
right? Like
mountains,
matte paintings.
Yeah,
you know,
that was huge.
Yes, it was.
So I remember going to Disney and walking through like the initial art of the cartoon there, and how it was just pretty much kind of like a projector with just different images that were translucent. Yeah. And they're laying them on top of one another, and they can add things to the scene by that next layer. And
they had these multiplane cameras.
Yeah, it was that, I guess. I mean, this thing stacked up, you know, to the ceiling almost.
And you know, so YouTube is so great because of now these things that would never would take valuable airtime, but they're still just great. There's a documentary on the Fleischer brothers who were around. They were competitors with Disney, and far and away much better as far as creating technology.
Really?
Yeah. Look up the Fleischer.
Put more on our list. So Ben's making us a list of homework.
What was one of their cartoons back in the day?
They did Popeye was Betty Boop, Popeye, this clown, I don't know his name, but they would build sets and put them on like big lazy Susans and loop them.
That's cool.
You know, and so
So me and Jordan went to the train museum down here.
Yeah.
Which they're about to open up an even bigger one. I saw that today. But after we got all this footage of us walking around in here, in my mind I'm thinking, how can we make skits out of this?
Right.
Similar to the old Thomas the Train or whatever, how they would like.
He wants to make us miniatures.
Yeah.
Man, they've got some wicked trains down there.
They do. They really, really do. The airport area and everything.
Still got the footage, though.
Did you
and
see
we can only get better.
Big mural in the back?
No,
a big mural like in the back. They call the area the swamp.
Maybe I have.
And there's a 80-foot.
We've done Oliver's birthday there twice.
Okay. Well, it's like an 85-foot long mural.
Okay.
By the underpass of the trains.
It's a tunnel.
Yeah, the tunnel. Yeah,
outside the tunnel.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I painted that with Chris Stebley helped me do that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's Uncle.
Small world.
Yeah, that's the only mural.
Matt's right there.
Oh, sweet.
He's been on the show.
Oh, cool. I've never actually met him.
Great space.
Okay.
Alderman at large.
That's great. That's really great. But
so you are in on the train museum, then, is what you're saying?
Yeah, they got that's the only mural I ever had done.
Really? So how many times in your walk as an artist have you walked away from art? I mean, like, no thanks, that's not for me.
Never.
Really?
Never. I don't think I could. But also I would like to take a break from it sometimes.
Well, I mean it more as like an approach, like somebody comes to you and pitches you an idea. Not like, do you see yourself not being an artist, but like, so say somebody was like, hey Ben, would you want to be interested in this? Have you ever walked away from opportunities there?
I mean, I've walked away from a lot of that. Because it comes down to time and money. And so
big time.
You have to be practical.
Yeah.
And
so what's your passion project now? Like,
that's a great question, and one that I don't get asked enough because I don't ever think about. I don't have a passion project.
Let's start one.
Right?
Let's start one.
I mean, I have passion. Right. I mean, I'd love to. I mean, I have passions and things that I love to embrace conceptually and things, but
we're right now like in the learning how to write stage, which is, oh man, it's easy.
Is
Stories
it?
but it's not. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not. It's not. I
hard.
say it's easy, and I'm trying to tell myself I have the big problem of overthinking things. Me and Gary have talked about it numerous nights where I'm just
Right.
like, but we got to do this or we got to do this first, and I'm like, no, you just got to do it. You just got to start it,
Yes.
and it
you're
can
right.
suck. And like we were saying earlier, you said people have gotten famous off their sucky art,
Yes.
but they just did it, you know.
Because what they were saying was smart, you know. And right now I know there are great examples of because I don't write. If I wrote, I would be a cottage industry probably because I have a wide skill set.
Yeah.
And but I don't write. And when I do, it's more not as good, but like Mark Twainy and stuff. I don't write kids stuff. It's obtuse and, you know,
Too gruesome, too true,
gory, no,
too real.
No, yeah. So I don't really.
Well, I mean, with good writing or even mediocre writing, you've got to have good illustrators.
Amen. Well, yeah, writing is something to respect for sure, man. I respect y'all.
So yeah, it's
gonna happen. I mean,
we have it's the first couple sucked. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, like me and Jordan
Did you feel like you got better?
yeah, no,
Good.
100%. So we were telling you about the cartoon that we're working on. Like every time
but I want you to see it though.
every time we've stepped it up,
Right.
the plot's sticking. The plot, it gets a little bit more intriguing and more beneficial for the viewer, in my opinion. Now,
Right.
I know a lot of artists that are like, I don't care what the viewer thinks. I'm not doing it really for the viewer. I'm doing it for me.
Sure.
But deep down, I like to think that you want, you know, your viewer to have a pleasant experience.
Be nice to. I mean, it's one thing about going through life and you kind of want to leave it better than you arrived if you can, and it's helping people, you know, making a person's day a little better, no matter how you do it. It's
That's why you and Marty hit it off.
oh, we got along good, yeah.
So, all right. So, whenever you were actually at Adult Swim, would you say that was your height of the cartoon time?
I looked at it as a great chance to work with people who were excited to be, you know, getting something done, you know, getting this thing done. And also, you know, when I was in sixth grade, I met a guy who's still my friend, Tony Quinn, and
Shout out
he
to
was really
childhood friends.
He was really great, and he could draw like nobody's business, and he drew characters, and I couldn't, but I wanted to draw like Tony, and I couldn't draw characters, but I would paint his background. I would make his backgrounds for his characters. No kidding. That's
so on the same page.
Yeah, that
Like he would draw the character, and you would here's the what's left.
Well, what he didn't make films really. He would like, we just did it to see, I guess, if we could do it because we did nothing with it. But like he was a big Disney fan, as was I at the time, and we created this sort of scene from at this well of Snow White. And I sat there and just painted the best I could the background for her sitting doing something with this well, you know, with his art of her. And then we did it, and we moved on to Planet of the Apes because we like Planet of the Apes. You know?
For me, it was that's with Disney was Pinocchio.
Yeah.
When I seen Pinocchio, the old school animation, I'm like, this is. Like I would watch that so many times.
That's cool
because then it was sound and the way it felt, like the warmness, like yeah, I could see like that's kind of what I was looking at your stuff earlier at Squidbillies. I was like no, like I kept diving in. I'm like he does all the background art, and I started just like okay, so the way you do a line and you're like when you do the background, like you do a line for a floor. And it brings this illusion, like it has this illusion.
Yeah, you're creating.
Well, now there's something that really wasn't publicized much, unless you talk to me or anyone on the show. But Mike Lazo, who was one of the executive producers, he had at the outset he said it. He felt like the art should be grounded in folk art. And at the time, I happened to be going through this big sort of. I was consuming folk art. I was really embracing it.
Now, just tell me what folk art is.
Well, folk art is our outsider art, they call it, but it's a person who makes art that's not educated.
Okay.
You know, it's and they oftentimes don't use the right materials. They don't understand perspective. They see the world. They might have schizophrenia and they paint wild cats or whatever.
Yeah. And
so outsider art's a really fascinating branch of art to explore. And so when he said that, it was just it wasn't hard for me to make that leap. So the perspective is never correct generally. Now over time, that what we found, what the writers found, is that it was really hard to compose a scene with these backgrounds that didn't have perspective that worked like normal. And so over time, we would address that, and they got more polished as a result.
So whenever you would originally start to get your assignment, was it like, here's what we want the scene to be, make it yours?
Essentially, because I was from the South and really understood it. And so they.
So how many backgrounds are you getting? How many backgrounds per episode, and what kind of timeline is that?
You might have an episode. Well, at the beginning, we were building a world, but when we got to running it, you might have an episode with none. But then suddenly there might be one episode in that season where you needed 10 for one episode.
Wow.
And then otherwise it'd be like 2, 3, 4.
And you say building a world, like that's where you were talking about earlier. You go back to these scenes sometimes, or you would go back to the same background.
They would,
because you would repeat the same room or something like that. But it blows my mind to know that you guys are just like all come together. Each person had like their own part.
It was very efficient animation. I know of no other show where you got some guy, in Mississippi designing and executing backgrounds for a show by himself. And
did you had free reign? I mean,
yeah, essentially. And most of the time I was in the ballpark, and very few revisions usually. So it was
Garrett, like, can you pull some of his art? It's out there. I mean, it's gorgeous, but like, if you could see like what he's talking about, like I want, like if you're listening in the radio in your car on the way to Ingles tomorrow, shout out to you for all the hard work.
Yeah,
we're in your radio right now.
So I have a portfolio, but it would take me a minute to find.
No, he can find something on there. Like it's just
it's on there.
For visuals. If somebody's watching visual, if they go back and watch, I want them to see.
Yeah,
it's just a different. It's you can tell. You said it's called folk when you're. Well, so when I do like graphic design for me on Photoshop, it's funny you say that because I'll never measure it because I don't want to. So I just do if you ever look at my flyers or any of my billboards or anything, it's off a little bit. Because I always want to have a perspective of it. And if if you're really like your eye you have to see it.
I think personally, I think mistakes really bring life.
I don't use rulers.
They bring life to.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember,
I don't like perfection generally.
I remember going to the Van Gogh Museum and watching how many times he would paint the same thing. Mm-hmm. And all the exact different changes in each one, they would be different times of day, different. But I mean, none of them were perfect. There was that little bit of human touch to it.
I watched, MC Escher, that guy.
Yeah.
He became popular during the 60s and hippies really but it's very, very mechanical, very scientific, and it's amazing things that he does. But I watched this documentary about him. I didn't know anything about him. And turns out, the guy really, really lamented the fact that he couldn't draw well. He really wanted to draw well, and he does. But I found out that he was like me. I'll draw things 5 or 6 times before, for every one thing you get, I've done it 5 or 6 times, finished it 5 and 6 times, but didn't like it. There's one thing I didn't.
Are you your own worst critic, like everybody?
Like most artists.
Yeah. So these backgrounds that you were turning into them.
Well, that was different. That came really easy. I didn't do those 5 and 6 times.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to ask. So, I mean,
it had like it was a real free experience for me. Unlikely to ever have that again.
But it's your signature.
Yeah.
You could tell. Like I was like, so I went back this morning. I was, me and Oliver got up this morning. My son's staying home with us. Gonna be at our entrance office, but he's like, he just graduated preschool.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I put it on, like I wanted just to catch the background and see, like, so like you can just see it, like you can see a signature. Like me and Gary just got done watching a music video, and the guy's name again, it's
Sufjan Stevens.
Yeah, pull it up.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating to see, like you have your own signature in your art. It's cool.
It's weird. And then so like I think artists generally don't they're at least some aren't aware of their style, and we always want one, but I accidentally stumbled into having one, I guess.
No, I mean, whenever you first got into it, did you ever dream you'd be where you're at now? As far as
I didn't give it any thought. I just wanted to work. There's this French guy that goes by the name Mobius.
Okay, I've never heard of him.
Moebius, and he's called upon.
Appreciate it, Garrett.
He's usually called upon sort of in the pre-production stuff, and like Fifth Element, he designed a lot of things for that.
Tight. Hopefully that one chick's dress. I remember that.
Or was it
Corbin?
No, Tucker's hair.
Chris Tucker's hair.
Oh right, no, no, he was more responsible.
It was like a house party met.
Yeah. That's. But he was more like I knew when I was watching that film when the police walk up to him when they're trying to the multi-pass when they're trying to use that, and the police are walking through. And the minute I saw them, I said, "Ooh, I bet you Mobius designed the costumes for that." Anyway, but he's this French guy, and he does. You can't nail him down. Style.
Can you pull up Garrett Mobius?
Moebius. You can't. You generally. You can't nail him down, and I'm kind of that way. It's like I can do a lot of different styles, work in a lot of different.
Would be defined. I mean, all right. So if you had your chances to draw anything in the world, what's your muse? What do you want to draw?
Oh, I couldn't answer that. I don't think.
No, like I know some people just want to draw like dogs or cats.
Well, I mean, I like birds a lot, but that's not what I really want to do. Whatever. I mean, I fall in love a lot. And by that, I mean, I just, today it's birds. Tomorrow it might be, a 32 deuce.
Such a cool answer too, though. Like,
how often do you sketch things down? Like you said, you were showing me, haven't read it yet, but you drew your dream.
Oh, yeah.
How often do you draw just on a blank canvas a day?
Oh, every day, a lot. More and more. The older I get, the more it's like I have to do. I have to do it. Yeah.
I've seen that with Marty.
Really.
Shout out to Marty Wilson. He's been on the show, guys. He's the godfather of my little boy, and I was always fascinated by Mobius. I was always fascinated with his book. He always carried this book with him.
Yeah, and
it was always drawing fish stuff, and it was just like it was so crazy. And I went through it. I'm like, and I've seen so many different renders that he would do, with his drawings, and it was just similar to what you're doing. You and him are doing the same thing.
But he's water and I'm air.
It's weird to see that. So your dreams, you're creating your dream. If you have an idea in your dreams, you put it out on paper.
Yeah. Now here's one. I guess because Marty's his work is exquisite, but if I get tired of reality pretty quick, or rather I really want a different reality.
I'm with you on that one.
And so I'll try to insert some element or some concept that is just I haven't seen before.
Science fiction-y.
No, because science fiction kind of it dates itself. I like if I can, and they're hard, but if I can get a concept that it's like, for example, it came to, and my good ideas always sort of come to me in a flash. I don't think about them; they're like pop. And one I had right at the beginning of, but I was just starting to work with water-based oil, water-soluble oils. And I did this traffic light. And instead of red, yellow, and green lenses in them, I had a cardinal bird in the top of the hole, a yellow bird in the second one, and a green bird flying, like a parrot flying into the bottom one. And so it's just inhabited by colored birds instead of
I like that twist.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and it'll make sense 100 years from now.
Yeah,
it'll feel just as fresh then as it does now, or 40 years ago.
So, what is your preferred? Is it pen, pencil, paint, pastel?
Well, it's whatever. I guess I can.
What's in his hand right now? That's it. Right.
This is a Japanese. Yeah, it's a real cheap pen. I order sort of like 10 at a time from Amazon for like $10 or $15, and they're really good brush. They're firm. They don't wear out very easily.
What are you looking for in a good pen here?
I mean, that's it.
I
was looking for cheap and not wearing out. And
Garrett, can you pull up Mobius again? I'm sorry, I got on the Marty thing, but I was always like, when I seen that, I'm like, wait a minute, like because he has that notepad, he has that same structure, which is really amazing.
But yeah, the oils, what I'm working for is to try and make a great piece of art with like 2 brush strokes.
Yeah.
I'll never get there.
Is he like the starter of like, that's kind of more of like an anime film,
futuristic looking?
Yeah, he's very, very well known, very popular among certain areas.
He's from France.
Yeah.
What year is this? His work?
I mean, he's still
around.
The film Heavy Metal.
Yeah. They did a South Park remake of it.
That film, the whole thing with the girl riding the bird.
Yeah, with the awesome
that's all
boobage.
Mobius. Yeah. I guess I through high school and college, Heavy Metal, I would look at the art in there. National Lampoon had good artists. Playboy has good artists. It was just, there's a great documentary about the art director for Playboy, who was the art director from day one and retired.
So do you know how the New Yorker started? Because I know like National Lampoon started in Harvard.
Right. I don't know.
Conan, and there's like a lot of people that came out of there. A lot of writers from The Simpsons.
There's Harvard Lampoon. Yeah. I know there was this Algonquin roundtable where like I can't, but these writers would get together and have lunch, and it was like a culture thing. But I don't know how it started. I should know, but I don't.
Is there anything similar to that in the art world? I mean, with the pictures and
see, the New Yorker though would hire the guy who wrote the original Shrek story and did multiple covers and did he would draw Shrek in his own way. And I mean they have just have employed so many brilliant artists over the years. It's really a great resource for good art. The New Yorker is. And do
you feel like, so we're moving to a phase of like AI,
right?
And there's a phase coming, but like in the 90s, for you to, as you grow into your career and stuff, like it's super tough for like an illustrator to make money unless you're with a production company or.
So I didn't try to make money with it.
Yeah.
It was only the job I got in television was as a designer, and designing the Tonight at 9. What about Bob or whatever, type, learning a lot about type and how to make it move.
Lower thirds, ever do lower thirds?
Yeah, all that. Yeah, it's really great. And it's good. And so that job, and then I became a creative director at Turner Classic Movies on air, would make their commercials. I learned a lot and really got to make a lot of great work.
Did you meet any of the chimpanzees that they used to make the commercials with?
I love the chimpanzees. I never got to, but I have, like, when I was a kid, there was a show called Lancelot Link, and I just couldn't get, and they would make them talk, but I couldn't get enough of Lancelot Link. So, but yeah, I never met them. I met Tony Curtis.
That's neat.
Yeah. Did you ever work on a production intro?
He's a chimp, huh?
Like a production intro, like an open for the production company. No, like it's they've always been their like production thing.
Well, you mean like that movie intro or whatever, or
like Paramount?
Like that, yeah.
Like the Lion.
Right. No, never did one of those. I don't think. No, I don't think it. No, never did. But that's a
Pixar.
That would be a good project.
Like
I interviewed at Pixar.
And it was now. When did Steve Jobs? Pixar. How long has Pixar been around?
Pixar. It was originally started at ILM. And then he got rid of Industrial Light and Magic. Okay. George Lucas owned it. They did all of Star Wars and everything. And then he sort of sold the company. Well, he sold that sort of pre-Pixar division or whatever to Steve Jobs, because you had Ed Catmull and John Lasser, and these guys really inventing a lot of technology that George Lucas had no desire to have. So
could you take us on a VR experience of your first interview at Pixar?
It's very interesting in that there used to be this convention for it's called SIGGRAPH, and it was where computer people would go and look at the newest computer animation and stuff.
So like Comic-Con for
exactly. And so one year it was in New Orleans, and I took some of my the work I'd done with Matt Malero. He had done this script called, I can't remember what it was called, but there are all these bugs and like ride motorcycles and stuff that I had drawn. And I showed them the work. And I also showed them this reel of computer animation, bad, but it was, at least they knew I could understand computer animation. And I went and met with, some Pixar people in a room over there. And they said, well, hey, we'll be in touch. And so they eventually flew me out, and a recruiter from them would contact me, and we set it all up. Anyway, they flew me out, and it was right after Toy Story 1 had come out. It was before Bug's Life. And I went and had my meeting in the Woody boardroom. They had a Woody they had 2 boardrooms with them. And
that's pretty cool though.
Yeah, it was great. And so I was sitting at a table with, I don't know, 6 to 8 people, and ran down what I knew and everything. And they're all nodding their heads and going, you would fit right in. This is great, blah, 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 blah. And then they said, has BZ seen his work? And they're all going, no, I don't think she has. And so this person named BZ comes in, turns it 180 degrees around and says, thanks, but no thanks. And I left. And that was it. That was the end of my Pixar story. It was frustrating and sort of, at the time it felt abusive at the time.
Yeah.
Rejection.
This is the mountain.
What year is this?
This would have been around 96.
Garrett, find BZ.
I looked her up years later. I looked her up, and she never worked on anything else, I don't think.
Oh, that was probably the last mistake she made there.
From what little analysis I've done of myself and my own career, the forces of the universe have been very nice to me. Well,
I think everything happens for a reason. I live my life that way.
Yep.
And maybe your best is yet to come.
Oh,
maybe we're still working on it.
If you text me and ask me how if you want me to not return a text me and ask me how I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because that's just an odd answer. I'm going to give sort of on the fly. It's not a bad answer. It's just not one. I just don't want to say good. How are you?
Yeah.
And
I love that. I'm more meet me here. Let's do something else.
So, but I was trying to, I've got one of those sitting in my inbox now. How the heck are you? And I'm like, I haven't responded. So I'm a week old. And I kind of want to say, well, if I were Jethro Tull, it's the 80s and I'm about to put out a shitty album, but it's going to be before my really good album. I threw Jethro Tull out there. It could be any band.
Don't knock him.
I was looking for an analogy and a band analogy.
But you're still, you feel what you love, like when you create, your art, whether it's photography, riding your bike, you're
right.
Ava, your daughter is now an upcoming artist. And that's things we will plug you on this show because, you need to discover these people.
Thanks.
But I love the fact that you're like, you know what? Because you're going to have your good years, your bad. We all go through it.
Yeah. It's hard. Creativity's hard.
Well, you just got through doing this book.
I didn't mean to talk over you.
No,
the Call of the Rooster book.
Yeah. That's
huge. So
I gotta go pee.
Yeah, let's Garrett, show us some Call of the Rooster here.
Awesome. Thanks.
Tell us, were you approached by someone for this?
Yes, the lady Chelsea Prince moved to. She and her family moved here from Stockton, California, and they moved here during the lockdown, and so they were kind of driving around this ghost town. But the rooster was here, and so she got to observing this guy, and she, really, and she has children, and she kind of started making up scenarios, and he really was kind of an interesting bird.
Yeah.
And that did stuff you could watch. And so, she put the story. And so she put out a call on social media. Does anybody know anybody, an artist? And a few people mentioned me. And so I met her, and I was really excited to help her. And I felt like I'd been asked a lot to do a book, and I never had. And
that was your first one?
Yeah. And so
wow.
I felt like I should get off.
Put that under your belt.
And help her, and I like.
I love the art from it. I think it was really. Yeah, it was good art. I love the art from it. Man.
It was a challenge. I never had done something where, you got to do 30 pictures where, like a comic strip. I was a big, Calvin and Hobbes fan, and just having characters that are consistent and have their own personality, that's a huge feat, you know?
Oh, and keeping, I guess if they're wearing a hat, the hat's got to be on it every episode, or, you know, so when you were I guess, developing the backgrounds, did they come blank, or did they come like where they can add the characters, layer them on top of them?
Adult Swim, they do their, what shows that they have done in-house, they do differently than what I understand shows traditionally do, in that they'll storyboard, and which is necessary for angles and stuff and understanding blocking and everything. But they would sit in with an editor, and they would just move stills of character. You know, character walks over here, and they just get a still of the character. And so they would use my sketches, because they got to, well, okay, he starts at the door and he's got to get over here. Sketches the interior of this convenience store, and okay, well, we need it bigger. And that's where we would make any revisions, just these rough sketches. And then, so by the time they had their blocking down and the action, they understood what was going to happen. And then I would just sort of supply some extra around the edges.
Some fluff. Did you ever put in like hidden messages that? No?
I mean, it was always
That was quick, dude. What the hell? You sold yourself in there.
No, it was like, well, I mean, it was always my intention to, you know, put like initials of my kids in there or something, so I could point and go there, you know, there you go.
Yeah.
But it you know, the integrity of the P, it was like I would see it, and I just wanted the integrity of something is really important to me.
Yeah.
And not to mention those
that.
guys are sitting there looking at it for 10 hours a day. They're going to see it. Not that
Yeah.
I would be trying to hide it from them, but it just never happened.
So me and Jordan have been trying to leave in little Easter eggs. Like if you go back and watch some of our earlier pods, like you can see
That's
things
cool.
that we've left laying out that make an appearance later on in the timeline
I
of
think
Kathy and Susie's kids.
That's what makes life worth living. Those
Yeah,
things,
yeah. Well, those are for the real fan people who are not all just our mothers, really. The
You're right.
only ones, really. So.
Yeah.
I would say, you know, a big part of this, I mean, and as we're on the 3 years in this, and the more we fall, for me, fall in love with the show and develop a thing is, yeah, he's right. Like we've always done like these Easter eggs, and it's like, it's opened so many doors for us. And
Right.
to see, like when we started, this whole room was yellow, and it was like, we didn't have nice mics, you know, like it would get in there, but like, and you
Real
see the
echoey.
development of like, hey man, I remember us figuring out how to like record just the audio. And then
Yeah, and then make it sound better.
and then match your we literally sit there and match your mouth. You know what I mean? Like it's
I had
always
to line it up with the
go back
clap.
and look at some of our footage.
Yeah.
Shout out to our boy Brandon Davis.
That's
Yeah,
hard.
just Brandon's a UFC fighter, and we did an episode where we called him in, and
Okay.
he's been on the show several times.
Yeah.
But we forgot to leave, like we left out his phone call
Oh
audio.
Lord. Yeah.
So
So on the actual repeat of it, it's just us talking to ourselves. Just imagine what he's
go
saying.
check it out.
I pictured like you wearing a microphone costume, and like talking at you. But that's why they got the clappers on the.
It's 100%.
We had one,
We
but
have
I
one.
broke it.
Jordan broke it. We break a lot of things here. Hence the tape on our mic booms.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
trade it, but I'll tell you right now, as
If you're not abusing it, you're not using it.
That's right.
I mean,
Amen.
that's the truth.
Amen.
I mean, we spend a good bit of money on things, and then half the battles learn how to use it
Uh-huh.
after you buy it.
that's
Like,
facts.
yeah, like you just sit there and look at it, and it ain't gonna do what you want it to do. So, exercise it, and then even if it sucks, put it out there, and then get better at it if it's something that you.
And I think a big play on that too is like, you know, like us doing a show, like, you know, and people always ask like viewership and all this stuff. Like, you know,
Right.
it's not about that. It's like if you can relate to it, that person, or you start building that. And that's what we've seen in the last 3 years. Like we started building. Oh, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
You know, like you're impressed. Like, dude, you're Mississippi artist. You've
put us
worked-
on the map.
Yeah, you've worked with some of the biggest, like, you know, Adult Swim in like animation, and it started as you as a kid with your buddy making backgrounds with him
Yeah.
with Walt Disney, and it's just like now I don't know.
You just did your first book.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
You just did your first debut on Jordan and Matthew podcast.
That's right.
Huh?
I'm
It never
Sky's
done.
the limit here, dude.
Huh? I don't think so. I mean, I'm
not like a Zoom call. I'm saying
No.
like me and you like drinking a beer together.
Yeah. You asked me if I've ever done another thing like this.
No, like podcast. Have you done?
I was on something for what I call yeah. I mean, Adult Swim did a show, and they called me once, and I talked to them, but I did it from my house.
Oh,
And then one time they were actually doing a Comic-Con panel, and I was coming home from a trip to Florida, and I was walking up the stairs, and my phone rang, and it was Jim, and I was like, I had to answer it. And I called. He says, "Hey, we're doing a panel at Comic-Con right now, and somebody just asked about the backgrounds. Can I hold the phone up to the mic?" So I spoke to one of those
That's pretty
giant
amazing.
rooms
On a vacation.
from the harbor down there in Ocean Springs, Yeah.
What a specific thing to ask about at the Comic-Con that he was at.
I think it was generally, how do you do the background?
But I still think that's pretty. I mean, respect to what you do right there. Like,
I'm so lucky. It's amazing. I mean, I'm happy if I make a good fried egg. I mean, it's amazing to me that I get known or something for something. I mean, I'm really thankful, and it's pretty neat. I should learn how to.
What's your favorite color?
that's a good question. That is a really good question.
Yeah. And it varies, of course. I mean, I generally like no color.
Really?
Yeah, but
Okay.
when I was a kid, though, there was one color that that really sort of excited me a little more than the other ones. I just liked it, and it was that teal blue crayon.
Flashy. Okay.
But now,
You're black and white
black and white.
because of what life's like.
Well, and it makes whatever color you decide to introduce pop.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Is that one if you go black and white on most of your drawings and then come back and add color later, or?
No, and I probably should.
No, you should just keep doing what you're doing. Don't let me influence it.
We
Try it once. Still try anything
need to get
once.
Ben to make a for like a local restaurant, like make a kids color chart, like
Yeah.
The coloring book, or like the little color thing with the tic-tac-toe
all
on it.
different, like no colors.
You've done some.
I love if I you talk about
Pick a
what
color.
would be my passion project. If I could confuse somebody,
Yeah.
and
I love
leave them at a
that.
table for not be able to, and just walk away and not say nothing.
Have 'em
I'm
brain
pretty
locked
happy
up.
by that,
Yeah.
I just think, I don't know why. I don't know. It's kind of a practical joke, kind of.
I agree.
Because there's too much, there's a whole, I got my fair share of seriousness. I don't need any more seriousness. So
are you a pretty comical guy? Are you like comedy over drama?
a real
or?
dry sense of humor.
I can tell.
I think stuff that's not funny is real funny.
I would get myself into trouble. We'd go watch movies back when you did it in theaters, however long ago that was.
Right.
And I was the guy who would always bust out
Me
laughing
too.
whenever the movie theater was silent. And I would get in trouble for it.
Right.
Like whoever I was, my mom, like, you stop, that's not your funny. Yeah.
So I was watching the restored 70 millimeter version for the first time. I'd never seen it before. I was watching the restored 70 millimeter version of Lawrence of Arabia with Peter O'Toole in a THX theater, like designed by Dolby and shit.
Yeah.
Best, like amazing theater. And I'm watching this film, and it goes, and like finally, after a couple hours, the music swells, and it just feels like the end. And it said intermission. And it was in Munich. I'm like probably the only American in the audience. And I just laughed real loud by myself in that theater at the sight of that word up there, because I'm that way.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. So, next
Call my
on
brother real quick. Let me call him.
Yeah.
He's in town from California. He actually does. He works with Toyota and stuff, but he moved to California. He worked at Waffle House down here on the coast, and from Bay St. Louis. He worked at a comic book store. He does draw, but he moved away, and went to California. He's been there for 20 years.
Wow.
So he's in town. He's called twice.
Oh yeah, call him.
Yeah, I told him to come over tonight.
Yeah.
He might just show up, but
What part do
He's
you
probably
move to?
here.
Anaheim.
What's up, Goldie?
Hey, we're on
man.
the podcast right now. You're on.
Hey, Disneyland.
Goldie. Mom said they're going crabbing tomorrow.
Grabbing.
They said Wednesday.
No. I told them to go ahead, and I'll wait for the package to get here, and I'll meet them there. So they're going to go tomorrow.
All right, that's fine. We'll be at the insurance office.
Oh, you want me to go there?
All right, look, we're on a podcast right now, live. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Kathy and Susie's Kids, best podcast ever, changed my life. When I thought about my drug addiction, I realized that I could stop doing drugs once I saw this podcast, because I realized this is what drugs do to people.
Right.
They make you just like the people on that podcast.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right, love you. Very much.
Bye.
All right. So yeah. So
That's awesome. Yeah.
always got time for fam. That's
important. Amen.
All right. So I've heard that you frequent. You can be found maybe down there.
Take a beer.
In Ocean Springs at
That I heard what?
that you go down in your watering hole. Is the grocery down in
That's
Ocean
right.
Springs.
I like
Here.
Yeah, hang out with Pat and those guys.
Yeah.
What's your favorite menu item at the grocery?
For a long time, it was the wings with the sauce on all the sauces on the side, naked. So I could just dip them at my leisure. Been liking the tuna dip lately.
Tuna dip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine's the burger in a bowl of gravy.
Yeah.
The fries
I
is
did
fire.
have the country fried steak sandwich yesterday.
And you get PBR for what's PBR draft right now?
Too.
$2. Yes.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
paying you to drink that stuff.
Just about. I started drinking it because I didn't have to think to order it.
It's a nice label.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, but yeah.
Yeah, I do like it.
What so Johnny.
Oh, very well. Sure do. Love Johnny.
He used to be in a band. I don't know if he's bringing a band back. Champion Club.
Every now and then.
Now he's got a printing
he dusts
company.
it off. Yeah, Champion Printing. He's an artist, man. He really is. He's inspired to take it to new places, and that's.
Let's be honest. He just has a really good mustache.
and he has a really good mustache. I saw Johnny and I we saw Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds together. That was the last show I actually went to. But
Are you big into shows?
I mean, I like a show if I really care about, if I want to see them, but no, otherwise I'm indifferent. But Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, that was a good show.
Where was it at?
It was in New Orleans, named after a black female singer, whatever. Is it Mahalia Jackson Theater or something?
I can't remember.
It's named after somebody.
So, what are your words of encouragement to up and coming, inspiring artists?
You really don't. I mean, don't be honest with yourself and read and just have an opinion, have an idea about things, and don't worry about how well you draw or try not, if you can, try not to imitate a style. If just find your own way, and that would be it. Just don't worry about how well you draw. Read books, get to know people. People bring so much to life, and if you're loving and good with people, your art shows. It makes people feel it.
I love that.
That's
dope.
So that's about all.
Well, Ben, dude, we've enjoyed having you in here.
Man,
we want you back. You can come back. Will you come back?
I'm honored. Yeah, thank you.
All right, we want to work with you on some
Make some
stuff, dude. Yeah,
that'd be
absolutely.
fun.
So, guys, y'all have heard it here. Ben Prisk.
Thank you.
Our episode, what is it, 183?
I think so.
Yeah, man,
Sweet.
we're cooking along with this thing. So,
Yeah.
dude, thanks again,
Thank you.
and see y'all next time.
Make sure you drink Bud Light.
Love
you.
Okay. I'll start it off.
I gotta get some clothes for my reunion.
Okay.